Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be part 2 continuing how to reduce your chances of catching the coronavirus, and we're going to be talking mostly about managing your risk outside of your home. So let's get into that. All right, so if you're asked to shelter in place, then a lot of this will not apply, but at some point you're going to have to go out of your house, and that's when this would become very powerful information for you. So assuming that you're not in a quarantine situation and you're still having to go to work, which is where we currently find ourselves as of the filming of this video. Today is 1 March 2020. You have a right to safety. Yes, you have to go to work, you have to pay your bills, you have to provide for your family, but that doesn't mean that you don't have a responsibility to yourself and even to your family to protect yourself while you are going out generating an income. So, let me say it again. You have a right to safety, even if you're at work. That right does not leave you simply because you show up for work. So these are some things that I would personally do to reduce my risk if I had to go into an office type environment or go to visit a client, okay? I would take my lunch with me because, well, we'll get to that in 1 second, but take your lunch with you, all right? If there's a company event, eat your lunch before you go and just decline to eat and say, oh, no, thank you, I've already eaten. It's very kind of you. You don't know who sneezed or coughed or touched or whatever, who prepared it, who delivered it. You don't know. So why subject yourself to that kind of an exposure? So just don't do it. When you're sitting at work or in a meeting, keep your coffee or your water, whatever you're drinking. Don't leave it in an open cup like you see represented here, because then anything in the air can potentially land in your drink. So keep it in some kind of a Yeti or something like that. Something that has a lid on it, okay? That's just, keep your drink safe. That just makes sense, right? Don't go out for lunch. And that kind of circles back to what I said about take your lunch with you. Because if you go out to lunch, yes, if the virus is on a hamburger patty and it gets cooked, the virus gets killed. But if after that, somebody maybe sneezes in the kitchen or touches something and has a dirty hand and that hand comes into contact with my food, well, now the food is contaminated and then I put it into my mouth. So I would say that going out to eat right now or ordering lunch to be delivered to your office, I would say that those are probably not the best decisions that you could make for yourself. Again, you have to assess your own threat level. For me personally, you could not give me free lunch delivered from somewhere else right now. I just wouldn't eat it. Regularly cleaning the surfaces that you touch at work, to include your desk, your laptop, your phone, the landline phone, your pens, your drink cup. All of those things are coming into contact with your hands or potentially other people's hands on a regular basis, especially if you're using a copy machine or a fax. I feel like I just went back to 1988. Do people still use fax machines? Yes, I'm aware they do, but I'm just saying anything that you're touching that is communal, whether that's an elevator button, anything like that, exercise a higher degree of caution here. That's when, using hand sanitizer and Lysol wipes, just worth their weight in gold. All right, if you have to attend a meeting, see if you can set it up remotely so that you can just meet your client, have a Skype or a FaceTime meeting. You don't need to be in front of somebody else right now if you can avoid that. If you do have to attend a meeting, me personally, I'm going to sit as far away from the other people as possible, potentially towards the back of the room, just because it's like putting people in a little tank. It's all contained with all the air being breathed in and breathed out from the same people. So I would try to avoid that situation if at all possible. And again, I said this in my video, the part 1 version of this, as I'm saying these things, do they sound a little bit over the top, maybe a little, far out in left field? Of course they do, because we are never dealing with a droplet infection or an airborne pathogen. So of course, this is all going to sound over the top, but that doesn't mean that it's bad advice. So just because it's different from what you're used to doesn't mean that it's wrong. It means that your response to the current situation must adjust to protect yourself. So if you were doing these things on the normal, people might think, oh, that's really weird, because there's really no risk, no threat that you're trying to mitigate exposure to. But that's not the case here. So be safe, don't be sorry, all right? I would ask my boss, is it okay if I telecommute? and see kind of what is their plan as we go forward. Are they going to be open to you telecommuting? Because this would be the time to start having those conversations with your employers, just so that if things happen where you're not able to leave your home, you have already established that with your employer. And then one less thing for you to worry about, because of course there are just a litany of things that come along with having to manage this increased risk. So have a chat with the boss and see what you can work out. If you have to take a work trip, this is when I would say, hey, why don't we do it in the summer, or maybe, next year, or even better, let's have a virtual meeting and save the company some time. Let's get it done right now. Look, I'm aware, okay, as a business person, there's no substitute for face-to-face connection when you're working with a client. But in a situation like this, where you have an increased risk of exposure, if you have to get on a plane, stay at a hotel, meet people face-to-face, it feels like your project, the risk benefit ratio would be off there. So try to set up a virtual meeting. Business owners are they're profit run, right? So hey, it would save us a ton of money if blah 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 blah, and maybe pitch it that way. Whatever you need to do, keep yourself safe, okay? They own whatever hours you give to them, and whatever pay rate is given to you in exchange for that, but they don't own your life, and they do not own your right to safety. So feel free to stand up for yourself, because trust me when I tell you, your boss is probably not going to do it for you. Now, of course, there are exceptions to that rule, but by and large, I think that it is a person's responsibility to advocate for themselves, and that is what I'm encouraging you to do here. If they say, hey, no, you have to keep coming into the office, okay, great. You might hit a point where you say, you know what, if that's the case, I'm going to have to wear gloves and a mask. And you know what? I'd rather look silly and be safe than look normal and suffer the same fate that may befall some of your coworkers. So just be safe, okay? All right, so that's when going to work. Now, in a shelter-in-place situation or a bug-in situation, if you heard one of my videos the other day, you wouldn't really be leaving home. But there are going to be times when you do have to leave your home, and that's maybe to take someone for medical evaluation, or you need to resupply on groceries. Now, obviously as the threat level goes up, the amount of PPE, which is personal protective equipment, goes up accordingly, okay? So right now, I don't know how you feel about it. I don't feel compelled at this time to wear gloves and a mask. That said, I took care of my preparations a very long time ago so that I don't find myself in highly public situations. If I did, then I might have a different response to that. So, you have to use your best judgment. And again, who cares if people look at you like you're strange? So going forward, as the threat level goes up, the personal protective equipment goes up accordingly, okay? When I say wear 2 layers of gloves, so it's very standard in emergency response, especially biohazardous type of stuff like this, you're going to want to wear, some kind of a latex nitrile glove, and then even gloves over that if necessary, like maybe, the big dishwashing type gloves, 2 layers of gloves in case one becomes penetrated, so that you're protecting yourself. Okay, eye protection, which can include what you see here, or if you're trying to protect children, swim goggles are great. I said that in my other video. You can put them on, kind of cinch them down real tight, and it fits their little faces much better than something like this would. A mask, I personally am going to recommend an N95. You do what you feel is appropriate for you. If you don't have access to an N95, I would double up on your surgical level mask and potentially use medical tape to tape it around the sides so that I didn't have exposure coming in from the left and the right. That seems like a safe bet for me. So that's what you see here where I say seal with medical tape. A Tyvek suit, that's going to be pretty next level, but I'm not saying that it couldn't get there. You see it all over the world, they're wearing them. But if you feel that you need to do that to protect yourself, that's what you need to do. Or you can come into the house and disrobe and do everything that I said in part 1 and decontaminate yourself and handle it that way. A face shield, you've seen that a lot in a lot of the media that's coming out of China. So if you have a mask on and eye protection, but still someone could cough on your face and then you could touch that later and it could get in your hair. So a face shield basically just looks like a big sheet of plastic that's, bent in front of your face, and then it's hooked to your head, so that it's protecting you from any kind of a pathogen that's trying to get to work, not trying to, it's not like it has a mission, but that somebody might cough and that might come towards your face, okay? Something over your hair would be ideal, like maybe a hair cap or a beanie, or maybe a hair cap and then a beanie over it. Anything like that where you can protect your hair, your neck, the sides of your face, all solid planning there. And rubber boots are excellent because you can wipe them down with bleach, and it's very easy to kill anything that it would come in contact with. And if you don't have rubber boots, of course, you can just wear the little disposable shoe covers and then just get rid of them right as you come in the door. All right, and this is kind of what I said a minute ago with respect to your employer, but it's your life, okay? And ultimately, and I've said this, I don't know how many times now in the last couple of videos, it's your responsibility to protect it. The government is responsible for telling you the truth and for exercising mass precaution for the masses, but it's your personal responsibility to protect your life. Just like if you see in the middle of a mass shooting, which hopefully none of you have been part of, but in that moment, there are no police to protect you. You have to make the best decisions for yourself in that moment to increase your risk of survival. And that is the exact same situation. So in a mass shooting, there's gunfire coming and potentially you don't know where it's from. And so what do? You do everything that you can do to insulate yourself from risk, and you put yourself in the best situation. And that is exactly what I'm asking you to do here. Protect yourself. You don't know where the enemy is. It's a virus. You can't see it. So very hard to protect against. So you're going to have to take larger measures. All right. Be smart, be safe. So here are 15 things that I think are just great ideas. Some of them are pretty obvious. Regularly clean the surfaces in your home. And I mean with some kind of bleach water concentrate, something a little above your regular, let me spray some lemon scented cleaner on here. No, kill anything that's on the surfaces of your home. Washing your hands meticulously and often, especially after using the restroom, okay? Please, please make sure to have this conversation with your children about, singing the happy birthday song while they wash their hands, because it gives them a good measure about how long they're supposed to do it, and really go over how do you properly wash your hands. I'm actually going to do a video on that next week, and I know that may seem kind of silly, but it isn't as straightforward as it sounds if you're trying to actually kill something as tiny as a pathogen. So again, washing your hands meticulously and often, and no hand washing police will come for you if you wash your hands and then also hit your hands with some hand sanitizer. That's a great combo effort there. Carry hand sanitizer with you when you leave your house and use it regularly. It's great to have it with you so that it makes you feel safe, but if it doesn't make it from the bottle to your hand, it's not going to do you any good. So routinely using that hand sanitizer. So for me personally, I'm carrying disinfectant wipes, and I use those whenever I have to touch, well, pretty much anything, to include the gas pump, the ATM, any keys that I might have to press anything into. I'm going to put that disinfectant wipe over my hand, use it to punch the keys, and when I'm done, guess what's coming out of my purse? Hand sanitizer. So you see a lot of sort of double duty, double protection, and I just think that's wise given the current state of events. And I touched on this a minute ago, but this is specific to your house. I know that it's stressful having to deal with all this extra stuff, and especially if we come to a quarantine or a lockdown type situation, do not ask for food to be delivered to your home, okay? And I would not personally, even as it currently sits, for the reasons I mentioned a few minutes ago, I would not be going out to eat, and I would not be having food delivered. Those two things just would not, and I mean prepared food, like from Uber Eats or something like that. And I'm sorry to Uber Eats for saying that because, I'm not trying to ruin anybody's business, but there are going to be certain businesses that are going to be harder hit than others, and that is one that is going to lose my business for the foreseeable future. Do not have guests over, and I've come to words with a couple people in the last week because, they wanted to do certain things or whatever. And I said, I'm sorry, we're just not taking guests at this time. And of course they think that I'm being hyperbolic, but again, I'm not concerned with what they think. I'm concerned with the protection of myself and my family, because if I fall ill, I am not capable of taking care of them. And again, going back to that risk benefit ratio, It's just not there. We can visit over FaceTime or at a later date. Right now, social distancing for me is already in practice. I'm keeping people as far away from my home as possible, even at this time. I would not be going to things like movies, malls, large events, any place where you have a larger than normal crowd, lots of bodies going in and out of seats at the movies, concerts, anything like that. For the reasons that we've said 50 times, you can't see it. You don't know where it is. You don't want to pick it up. You don't want to end up becoming infected because, you just couldn't wait to see Adam Levine or whoever. And no, I'm not slamming Adam Levine. I love him. One of my girlfriends took her daughter to a concert a few months back, and so he popped to mind. I think those kinds of things can wait for now. Try to stay out of the grocery store if at all possible. If you haven't done that preparation, for the love of whatever God you pray to, please go and buy a responsible amount of food. I am not talking about what we're seeing on the media where people are buying so much food they literally cannot cram it into their cars. Guys, that is called hoarding, and that is just as bad as, to me, committing certain crimes against other people. There's only so much supply and there are so many people. So you only need to buy enough to keep yourself safe. You don't need to hoard and then maybe make somebody else have to fully go without. That is, in my opinion, somewhat inhumane, and it is unethical by my measure. So buy a responsible amount of food, maybe a little bit of extra in case you have to help somebody else who didn't prepare, but please don't hoard. There is enough currently if people are being kind in the way that they purchase. I would stay off mass transit. No way that you could get me on a metro or public bus or anything like that at this time, for reasons that I don't need to state, okay? If you haven't heard of the Diamond Princess, then please turn on your news or Google it and you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, anywhere where there's large groups of people together sharing the same air, I don't even think that there's speculation that this is an aerosolized pathogen at this time. So why would you want to be breathing the air of so many other people and taking your risk through the roof? If you have to fly, my first advice to you is don't fly. But if you have to, if I had to get on a plane right now, please know that I would be doing it with a mask on. And I would not care at all what people thought about that. I heard a news report, I think it was yesterday, where a crew refused to get on an aircraft because there was fear of somebody who was, I think, a passenger potentially having the coronavirus. So, fear is hitting an all-time high. And I don't even know if it's fear. I think it's that people are becoming alert and awake to the situation, which has now been upon the rest of the world for many months. Parks, museums, amusement parks, places where there's a high level of traffic and lots of contact between, getting in and out of seats, touching bus buttons, rolling the little, turnstile when you're going out. Not if you paid for my tickets would I go to those places right now. Guys, we've all been to them before, and there will be a time in the future where that will happen. But if you don't keep yourself safe and allow for that future to manifest itself, then you might not be making the best decision for yourself or your family. So just be wise with your decisions. I touched on this in the last video. Try to stay out of hospitals if possible, and that's why I was saying that it was so important to have the tools at home to monitor yourself. The risk of infection at hospitals is going to be exponential compared to your risk of infection at pretty much any other location I can think of. I would have to need severe medical intervention to go to a hospital at this time. Now, again, guys, I am saying what I feel comfortable with. I may have a different threat assessment than you do. My responses may be calibrated based on my history, just like yours will be. Having worked in emergency response for many, many years with the Red Cross, I'm going to err on the side of caution because I have seen situations go from bad to, oh my God, did that just happen, in a blink? And we don't really know what's going to happen. So I think just reduce, to me, it's kind of like a public service. If I keep myself safe, if I stock my house, I am reducing the load on institutions, right? Whether that's an ambulance, a hospital, a grocery store. So that's kind of how I look at it, do your civic duty and prepare and protect yourself. Avoid long lines or crowds. When I see people queuing in line for masks and things, I'm scratching my head because they're just standing in line. I mean, I guess I don't know if I were in that part of the world, I'm not sure how I would handle that. So it's easy for me to say because I don't find myself in that situation where I need a face mask. I'm in Tokyo or in Hong Kong, excuse me, and I don't have a face mask. What do you do? I don't know. But when I see those lines, I cringe inside for fear of exposure. So if you don't have to wait in line, let's not wait in a line. And if you don't have to be in a large crowd, don't be in a large crowd. It's just not a solid plan right now. Try to avoid being in small rooms with people for the reasons that I talked about in the meetings. Okay, you're breathing the same air. So, and then this is 15, and I have not personally made this decision, but I'm getting there. And this is to consider taking your children out of school because, I live in Baton Rouge and we just had Mardi Gras, and 1.5 million people come to Mardi Gras from all parts of the globe every year, bringing with them their various germs and tourist money and all of that. And Mardi Gras is a lovely event. We did not attend it this year because I thought too much exposure. We've seen a million Mardi Gras and we'll see a million more. We didn't go. So we've already begun, not only the social distancing, but staying out of large crowds, not shopping in person. And the last one for me is going to be taking the kids out of school. I don't see any kind of protection being exercised in the state of Louisiana. I hope to see that change here. I don't know, and I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions about when to close schools because I think that's a hard call. It's a hard call for me as a parent to know when is it time to pull the trigger. So that's a personal decision you're going to have to make. When and if I do make that decision for myself and my family, I will likely shoot a video on it. Let me know in the comments below. What's your trigger point when you think, okay, that's it, everybody out of the water, we're not going to school anymore? But I will say that when my children come through the door from school, and we've been doing this for a solid couple of weeks, everything that I said in part 1 of this video, as far as that decontamination area at the front of the door, that's common practice in my house and has been for many weeks now. So to give you an understanding of, how we're handling it here in our house. All right, so some last minute things to think about, okay? Success is where preparation and opportunity meet. I am relatively certain that the opportunity for this virus to take hold and for there to be community transmission and community spread, I think it's pretty good. So I think the only other side of that equation, since I'm shooting for success, is preparation. And that's exactly what I'm trying to encourage you guys to do. So success is where preparation and opportunity meet. Will to survive, will to thrive. Okay, it's not the will to win that matters. Everybody has that. Every human being wants to survive. Everybody wants to prosper. But it's the will to prepare to win that matters. So you can wish and want, but you cannot eat those things, right? You need to have the wherewithal and the mindset that it's okay for you to prepare. And in fact, it's wise to do so. All right, 7 rules of life, guys, to end on kind of a high note. Let it go. You can't stress about everything that's happening, but you can prepare. If people talk and say, oh, you're crazy for preparing, those will be the very same people knocking on your door asking for supplies or asking can they come stay with you because they have a sick somebody or the other and that they need your help, okay? Ignore those people, not if they come to you for help, but ignore what they say. Who cares, right? They're not responsible for your life. God didn't give them your life. He gave it to you. So do with it what you will. Give it time. This will pass. I do not believe that this is a humanity ending event. I think this is going to be something that is historical, and I want everybody to come through it on the other side. And I think you just have to give it time. You have to give it time. You have to be patient through this situation, patient with our world leaders, patient with yourself, patient with the people that you know, because everybody is fumbling in the dark right now. I don't think anybody living has ever really experienced what this thing has the potential to become, and that's scary. So give it time, guys. Don't compare what some other family is doing or not doing to what you're doing. You know, my circus, my monkeys. That's how I look at it, okay? It's my family and we're going to do whatever we think is best for us. I don't judge you for not doing it, and if you judge me for doing it, I give myself permission not to care because that just doesn't matter to me right now. Stay calm. That's the point of preparation. That's the point of me putting together these videos, myself and all the other people that are pushing out content on this. Stay calm because, you can react intelligently or you can react emotionally. And you need to react intelligently to the threat at hand. Take your emotions out of it. There will be a time and place to process all of the emotions that you feel about this situation. I'm not saying it's wrong to have them. I also have them. And there are moments where I become very sad at the thought of some of the things that could happen and in processing the things that have already happened in different parts of the world. My heart breaks for those people. My heart breaks for the fact that my children may have to live through what this could become. But I have to stay calm. You have to stay calm. And you just have to react in an intelligent way. And then on the back end of it, we can all have a good cry and a group hug. But right now, it's time to plan. It's time to act, right? It's on you. It's on you. It's on the government too, for sure. But, when the president gets on and he gives me a speech, it's a low-calorie meal. I can't eat that, okay? And he can say whatever he wants, or any other official can say, and I'm not slamming Donald Trump. I'm just saying it's just words. It's on me at the end of the day whether I have laundry detergent and body wash and food and medical supplies and a vehicle that works. That's on me. And it is also on you. All right. And very last thing is to smile. Remember to laugh. Do things that are fun. Watch a comedy with your kids. Play a game. Figure out new ways. And I'm shooting videos about this all this week. Things to do if you become quarantined. Games that you can play. New games, not old games. And smile, because mental and emotional health are paramount. It's very important. If your children feel that you are panicking or that you are in an emotionally fragile or vulnerable state, they will pick up on that. So there's no reason to feel that way. Just prepare, pay attention, right? And then execute the plan. Simple. Smile. I don't want to say it's going to be okay because I don't have a crystal ball. But what I can say is that whatever happens, we're all going to go through it together, and then we're all going to pick up the pieces when it's over. And God willing, it just doesn't become this monster that it looks like it's going to be. Living in the South, we frequently prepare. Again, I live in Louisiana, and we're constantly braced for hurricane impact. And we in 2016 had a very, very bad flood here, and that was very traumatic for a lot of people here. But it passed. And the homes were rebuilt and communities surged again. And this will pass at some point. So don't be doomsday, end of day about it. Just be, okay, it's going to get a little bumpy. Let me put my seatbelt on and we will get through this together. Okay, guys, take a deep breath. Be grateful for the things that you have. Make a plan, prepare, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.